Any other question or clarification before we'll start with our last module discussion? Any other concerns so far? Mr. or Miss for Jane, Mr. Charles, Mr. Antero, Mr. Brian, Miss Jane, Miss Rachel, Mr. Zedrex, Mr. Flores, Mr. Christian, Mr. Mdelson. Any questions so far?
Wala naman po, sir.
None,
Sir,
sir.
wala po.
Okay. So again, guys, pag nagkaroon kayo ng question, okay, you can message me anytime to my Canvas account or Facebook account. So if you guys think that we need to have a short Zoom meeting for you to be able to show your problem, just message me, okay? Since it's really quite strange, okay, na hindi kayo nagtatanong. Since this is programming, I know that you guys are having a hard time. So just ask anytime, okay? From time to time, if you have a problem, just ask me, okay? If I cannot reply as soon as possible, then you can search on YouTube, okay? If you can see the solutions that you're looking for, then you may do that one or read some articles on internet. Okay? All right then, so wala talaga. All right, so if you guys do not have a question anymore, then are you guys ready now to start our, or are you guys ready now to listen with our last module discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So for the last module, we have 109 slides. So this one is quite long. Okay. Anyway, this one is super easy, okay, because this one is not more on programming anymore. This one is more on analysis, okay? So ito na yung mga pseudocoding natin, kumbaga. When you say pseudocoding, this is where you will see what happens regarding with this line, regarding with this line, and this line, and so on and so forth. All right, so in here we'll discuss mostly, okay, visual basic looping, and then some data file, and then lastly is error handling. Okay, so again, this is the module 3 on finals. That's why it says here module 3, but in our Canvas is what is module 9. Okay. Okay, so what is visual basic looping? So this one is used for operations that are repeated for some number of times. From the word looping, we have a loop. Okay, so depending on your program, you want to repeat it twice, thrice, 5 times, 100 times. Okay, so this one is repeated for number of times. And then loop, of course, repeats until some specified condition at the beginning or end of the loop is met. Okay, so we have 3 types of looping statements. We have do loop, for loop, and then the while loop. And under do loop variations, we have 4. Okay, we have the do while, do until, do loop while, and then do loop until. So we will discuss those things one by one later on. So for now, all you need to do is we have 2 types of loop. Okay, we have the pre-test and then post-test. So under pre-test, when you say pre or pre, okay, pre-test means it's on the first or before, okay, before the loop, okay. So here's the syntax. We have here the do while or until and then the condition before the loop. Okay, that's why it's called pre-test. And then post-test is of course the opposite of the pre-test. So that's why it's called post, because the test will be put on the last line or after the loop itself. Okay, so after the loop, we have here the testing part. So in here we have the testing part, but in here we have testing part on the last part. So I'm say pre-test, it will conduct the testing first. And when it's the post-test, it will conduct the testing on the last part or after the looping part. All right. So are we clear with this one so far? So no need to memorize, okay? I'm just telling you guys the concept.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I highly suggest that you do not memorize a code. Okay. Yeah, it's okay if you want to memorize the syntax, but no need for that. What you need to learn about programming is the concept, okay, and how this will work. So again, pre-test is the first one or the starting point, and then post-test is the last one. Okay, so in here, under pre-test, we have four. Okay, we have the do while loop, do until loop, while, and then for next. And then the post-test structures or the post loop, we have the do loop while, and then the do loop until. So notice that on the pre-test, we have the while before the loop, until before the loop, while and while. So this is just another syntax. This is really the fixed format when it comes with this one. And then we have the for next. But when it comes to post-test, so as you guys can see, we have the while here after the loop, and then until right here after the loop. All right. So that's basically the difference when it comes to pre-test and post-test. So from here, you already know, is this pre-test, is this post-test, etc., etc. All right. So here's the complete syntax, okay, and how you put do while, do until on the Visual Studio or Visual Basic. So for the do while structure, wherein this is where you're going to initialize your statement or put your initial value, okay, of your statement. And then this is where you're going to put the true condition. And this is where you're going to execute the true statements. Okay, and then we have here exit loop after this loop. So in here, if this one is still true, then it will keep on looping. So once this one became false, then that's the time that it will exit to our loop. All right. So take note, this is for the while. Okay. While this one is true, then it will keep on looping. But in here on the do until, so this is the opposite of while. So until this one is false, okay, it will keep on looping. All right. But once this one became true, then that's the time that it will stop looping. So yeah, I know that this one is quite confusing, but if I were you guys, just stick with do while loop. Okay, do while loop is made for true condition and then true statement. It will only stop if there is one false condition. But in here, it's the opposite. Okay, so it will keep on looping, and as long as the condition is false. Okay, and then this will only stop looping once the condition is true. So later on, we're going to have an example with this one. So in here, do while and do until. So both of them can give you the same output. It's just that you have to fix your syntax, okay, and then how you use the condition. So depending on the structure that you're going to use. All right. And then we have here the post test. Okay. So basically the pre-test and post test are the same. Okay. Loop while is of course wherein we have a true condition and then true statement. And then for the loop until, of course, we have the false condition and then the false statement. Okay. It's just that on the pre-test, we have the condition right here. But on the post-test, we have the condition on the last line. Okay. So regardless of the type of structure you're going to use, pre-test or post-test, so both of them are correct. Okay. Or both of them will give you the same output, just depending on how you will put your codes in there. Okay. So whatever is the do while can do, it can be done on the do until. It can also be done on do loop while. It can also be done on do loop until. So yeah, basically, we have a lot of ways for you to uh, do a lot of loopings, okay? Looping condition and then looping statement. It's just that we have many ways to do it. Okay, you can choose between pre-test and post-test, and then what pre-test you're going to use. We have 4 types, and then what post-test you're going to use. We have 2 types regarding with that. Okay, so the verdict in here is just memorize one, or you can just familiarize one and then disregard the others. Okay, but since you are learning things on how to program, so of course we are discussing the ways on how you will do things. Okay, so you can choose any of those. But mostly, me myself, okay, only use this one. I only use do while do, and then the rest. So if it's needed, especially it's a requirement to answer one thing or a question, okay, then of course you have to go back with do until syntax, do loop while syntax, do loop until syntax, etc., etc. Okay, but memorizing one or having one, okay, uh, loop structure is already okay. All right. So in here we have the pre-test. We have here, we have here the pre-test, okay, and then the post-test, and then another 2 pre-tests. Okay, so in here we have the while and while structure. So this one is similar with the do while. It's just that in here we have while only, and then instead of end, loop here we have end while right here. But basically, whatever if your condition is true, it will initiate true statements. It will only stop once we have a false condition. And then for the for next structure, so this one is a very uh, very okay if we have a lot of loopings, or if you want to limit your loopings for 5 times only, 10 times only, 20 times only, or 100 times. Okay, so we have here the variable, and then where it will start, and then the final value, and then how many steps it will jump every looping. So let me give you guys a short example. Let's say initial value is 1, and then final value is, let's say, 5. Okay, and then we have a step value of 2. So initial value is 1, so that's your first loop. So the second loop will be 3, since we have a step value of 2, and then the last value will be 5. Okay, so just keep on incrementing by 2. So 1, 3, and 5. So a total of 3 loops. Okay, so if you want to have 5 loops, then put here a step value of 1. Okay, so 1 to 5. All right. Okay, so let's have an exercise regarding with those do while, do loop while, do loop until, etc., etc. All right, so let me just open my Visual Studio. Okay, so in here we have the do while loop. Okay, so if this one is true, then it will keep on executing whatever is inside of it, right? And then once this one became false, then that's time that it will stop doing the loop, right? So let me just show this one to you guys. So we'll put it inside the button. Okay, so again, just double click this one for you to have the coding section, because by default, we don't have that one. So just double click a component and then it will lead you to the coding section. Okay, so in here we have to declare the x number x. All right. So in here we have an initial value of 1. So it will start with 1 and then it will only stop, okay, once this 1 became false. So initially your value of x is 1. So 1 is lesser than or equal to 5 is true. So this will be initiated once. Okay. And then moving on. So as you guys can see right here, it's incrementing by 1. Okay, x plus 1. So whatever is the last value of this 1 will have an additional value of 1. So 1 plus 1 will give you 2. So 2 is lesser than or equal to 5, so it's still true. Then it will initiate this 1. Okay, and then it will add another 1 again. So 2 plus 1 will give you 3. Okay, so 3 is lesser than 5, which is true. So it will initiate again another plus 1. So 4 is lesser or equal to 5, so it's still true, then it will initiate this 1, and then we will add 1 again. So 4 plus 1 is 5, so 5 is lesser than or equal to 5, so it's still true, then it will initiate this 1. So it will add another 1 again, so 5 plus 1 is now equal to 6, wherein 6 is not lesser than and not equal to 5. So this one is already false. So once this one became false, then that's the time that it will stop looping. All right. So as a result, it will only give us a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So let me just show this one to you guys. Okay, so if I click me, then it will give you the first loop, number 1. If I click OK, it will give you the second loop, number 2. Third loop, number 3. Fourth loop, number 4. Fifth loop, number 5. And then the next one is 6. So if I click OK, this will exit the looping. Okay, because this one now became false. So are we clear so far regarding with how loopings work? Regarding with do while? How about the others? Okay, so Mr. Flores is giving me a thumbs up. How about the others? Miss Virgeline,
Wala, sir.
Charles. Okay. You guys sure? So, ito kasi yung pinaka-advice ko. Once there is an example, just try it. Okay? Make it work for you to be able to appreciate and understand how things goes in programming. Okay, like for example, this one, just if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of code, just make this one work, and then you must have this kind of output. Okay, so in that way, you'll be able to explore this one example. So you can set the limit to 10, so you can have 10 loops, or you can start with negative values, and then yeah. So experience is always the best teacher. All right, so in here we have do until, wherein, let me just, okay, wherein until this one is false, then it will keep on looping, okay? But once this one became true, then that's the time that it will stop looping, right? So initially we have here a value of 1, okay, wherein 1 is greater than 5, okay, which is false. So this will be initiated. Okay, so take note, we are now in do until. So if it's while, you must have a true condition and then true statement. And then in until, you must have a false condition, okay, and then a false statement. So 1 is not greater than 5, so this will be initiated. And then plus 1, so 2 is not greater than 5, so this will be initiated. And then 3 is not greater than 5, so this will be initiated. 4 is not greater than 5, so this will be initiated. And then 5 is not greater than 5, so this will be initiated. And then 6, so 6 now is greater than 5. So once this one became true, then that is now the time that it will stop looping. Okay, so let's see if we have the same output. So click me. So initially it will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Then once it reaches 6, then that's the time that it will stop looping, since 6 now is greater than 5. All right. So are we clear regarding with do until?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this part, the do while and then do until right here is the pre-test. Okay. So we'll also do the post-test. So let's analyze this one and then make this one work. Okay. So initially we have here a value of 1. Okay. And then right here, it's just that the condition is on the last line. So while this one is true, okay, so initially we have 1 as your value of your x, okay? So 1 is lesser or equal to 5, so true, then this will be initiated, okay? And then plus 1, so 2 is lesser than or equal to 5, then this one will be initiated. So the point here is they are the same, okay? This one is the same with this one, it's just that they have different format. Okay, the condition is on the second line, and then the condition right here is on the last line. Okay, but they have the same statement right here. Okay, so if you're going to run this one, then you will see that it will give you the same output. Okay, number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So once it reaches 6, then that's time that it will stop looping. Okay, because 6 is not lesser or equal to 5 anymore. Okay, so that's it for the while. And then we have here the loop until. Okay, so again, this loop until right here is the same with the do until. It is just that the condition is on the second line, but on the post test is on the last line. Right? So if you're going to run this one, okay, so until this one is still false, then it will keep on running, or it will keep on looping. So number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then I click OK, then it will stop looping since 6 is already greater than 5. Right? So are we clear so far regarding with pre-test and post-test? All right. How about the others? Were you guys able to follow? Okay, Mr. Flores, Ms. Jane, Mr. Christian. All right. So let us now move on to the last two pre-test example. So in here, this while loop right here is the same with the do while. It's just that it has a different syntax. So instead of do while, we have while. Okay, and then instead of loop, we have end while. Basically, the condition is the same. The way of putting here your statement is the same. Okay, just a different syntax. So while this condition is true, then it will keep on initiating this statement. So let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay. And for the last one, okay. So in here, this is actually the shortest way of coding when it comes to looping. We have the for next syntax. So in here, okay. So in here, you are already uh, counting the loops that you're going to initiate. So in here, you're going to start with 1, okay? And then next x. So by default, this next x is +1. But if you want to have an increment by 2, let's say 1, 3, and then 5, then just add here +2. Okay, oops, is it right here? Okay, just look for that syntax. Dual next x or x25. I see. So not right here. My bad. So I already forgot the for next structure. But in here, you're going to put here step, okay, 3. I mean step 2 only, since it will increment by 2. So by default, if you're going to put here x only, next x, then it will increment by 1. But if you want to have an increment by 2, then you must put here step and then 2. So in here, you will start with 1 plus 2 will be 3, and then plus 2 will be 5. So it will give you a total of 3 loops only, 1, 3, and 5. So 1, 3, and then 5. Okay, and then okay is of course now the false condition. So if I will remove this 1, then by default, it will increment by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will loop 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. All right. So very, very straightforward. For x is equal to 1 to 5, then it will initiate this one 5 times. Okay. So are we clear so far? Oops, let's go back with this example. Okay. So are we clear with your exercise number 1 using all types of looping structure? Hello. So any questions so far? Question or clarification? All right. So again, the conclusion right here is you can just have one syntax. Okay, you can memorize one syntax only. Okay, you can familiarize one syntax only and then disregard the others. Okay. However, if I required you guys to answer the question using the do loop while or do loop until, then that's the time that you have to go back with the other syntaxes. Okay. So when it comes to programming, since it is your own program, it is your own code, then why memorize the others if you can have one syntax only and then have the same output. All right. So I'm just making things easier. Again, you can memorize one only and then disregard the other 5 syntaxes. Okay, depending on what syntax you want to be familiar with. All right, so let's move on to the exercise number 2. So in here, basically we have the same example with exercise number 1 and 2. It says that we have different initial value and then the ending value. Okay, so instead of me showing this one, okay, on how many times it will loop, so we will answer this one using a pseudocoding. When say pseudocoding, we're going to run the program on our mind only. Okay. okay, or via analysis only. Okay, so for the do while loop, okay, how many times this will loop, or yeah, what is the starting point and then what is the ending point, and then how many times it will loop. Anyone? So what is our starting number? Yeah, so the correct answer is 10. Okay, and then it will end at exactly what number? Yeah, 25. So the question here is, how many times it will loop for the do while loop? How many times? Okay, how about the others? So from Mr. Masubeng is 15. How about the others? Do you guys have the same answer? 11? Why 11? Okay, so lahat, all of you are wrong. You guys didn't count. So if you're going to start with 10, okay, and then you're going to count it up to 25, you will have 16 loops in total. 10, 11, 12. Let me show this one again. So this one is the same. Where is my notepad? Right here. So again, if you're going to start with 10, okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay. So if you're going to count this one, it will give you a total of 16 loops. Okay. Kasi nag-start tayo sa 10, okay, not 11. So 11 to 25 is yes, 15. But 10 to 25 is 16. So this one is the same with 0 to 10. So 0 to 10 is 11. Okay. So 1 to 10 is 10. But in here, we've started with 10. So in here, this will loop 16 times. Okay. So that is one tricky part that you guys need to worry about when it comes to answering how many times this looping will break, something like that. Okay. So we have some questions like that on your final exam. Okay. So we have to be careful also. What is the increment value? Okay. So if we have plus 2 right here, okay, so 10 plus 2 will give you 12, plus 2 will give you 14. So 10, 12, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, and then plus 2, so not enough. So until 24 only. So if we have x plus 2 right here, then it will loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times only. Okay. So for the sake of this example, then let me show this one to you guys. So we have plus 1, then it will loop 16 times, okay, up to 25. If we have, let's say, plus 3 right here, then it will increment, it will loop how many times? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So 6 times only. All right. So those are the things that you need to consider on how many times it will loop, okay, regarding with your program. So initial value, the final value, and then how many times it will, I mean, what is the increment